Welcome to Awakened Soul with me, Kristen. This is the place to elevate unity consciousness and create the new earth. Are you awakened to your heart and soul-led life? Are you seeking clarity, connection, and a deeper sense of purpose? You are not alone. You are part of a grand awakening, a collective shift that is transforming our world from the inside out. Join me each episode as we explore consciousness and spiritual evolution through inspiring conversations, wisdom teachings, and powerful activations. This is more than just a podcast. It's a sacred global community creating a new earth of unity, love, and freedom. So open your heart, get ready to be inspired, elevate in frequency, and awaken to your highest potential. The shift is here, and it all starts now. I'm Kristen Bielecki, and you are listening to Awakened Soul with Kristen on Transformation Talk Radio. Thank you for being here, and stay with us for the next hour and let us uplift and support your awakening. And today we have Viviane Chauvet with us to discuss the Arcturian Experience in Galactic Consciousness. And I'm really excited to connect into this energy. I'm really feeling the frequency just really lighting up the space right now already, Viviane. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me today. Such a joy to connect with you and your wonderful audience.
Yes. And I'm going to read a short bio, and then for those of you who are here, you can read the whole bio for Viviane on the page. And Viviane Chauvet is a renowned Arcturian ambassador, an evolved soul who leads global audiences through transformational activations that bridge intelligence with the human conscious experience. So we are going to dive into galactic consciousness and what the Arcturian intelligence is supporting humanity with us right now. And I'm just really excited Viviane's here with us because I've been connecting with the Arcturians for over a decade now as well. And so I was just sharing with Viviane that when I was sitting in meditation one day and I was like, okay, who is here to be invited onto the show? And her name just came up in lights, and it was like, okay. And so just with this connection today, I'm really welcoming, that galactic intelligence that we all hold in our own way and what's happening through the earth and through our galactic and intergalactic relationships, just welcoming that energy to really uplift us and come alive and share and come through in any way that's really going to support us into our bodies and hearts and minds and souls. So Viviane, I'd love for you to open up with what's coming through for you right now through this galactic intelligence.
One of the things we're seeing a lot is how much the earth and human consciousness and even energetically, how there's so many profound changes. So we look at just the last 5-6 years based on your linear time construct. We see how much there's been a massive movement, whether it's the awakening of the star seeds, the awakening of a higher soul calling, where people are really drawn to step forward and want to be of service, wonder what is the next level for them. So what it means on the galactic level, it means that for us, it opened the doorway of more direct organic communication, just like your example. And I'm so glad you said that you share about 10 years ago, asking, okay, who's going to come in? Well, it's not anybody coming in and who is enlightened and spiritually oriented that can really support the fulfillment of my soul journey. And then your turns came forward. And that's what we do. We prefer to work directly with, ancient souls like yourself, star seeds, people who are really stepping into their soul calling and say, now that you're ready, we are happy to provide that direct support. And what does it mean? Support in a sense of, helping you to remembering aspect of your own soul design or your gifts, or helping you to clear your field out of distortion, or supporting you of revealing some kind of ancient knowledge that relates to what you've been doing, or bringing the guidance that you need. So there's many ways for us to work with people, and we have been doing this type of direct assistance for generations.
Yeah.
For generations.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm curious just to share with everyone to understand your embodiment of being an Arcturian and that energy. What was your experience of receiving that? Just like you're saying that the Arcturians come in when someone is ready to receive the information of themselves in this time. What was your experience?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, unlike people like yourself who is asking for help and then we step forward,
Mhm.
I I am not a point of contact on the planet, is I represent the Arcturians. So I am always in the symbiotic
Ah,
interconnections with my group,
yeah.
with my soul star group and my Arcturian self. I'm here to make point of contact with human beings. So I'm
Mm,
here to make contact with you. So
mm,
that's a difference. For me, it's the other way around.
yeah.
As an intergalactic being representing a very ancient civilization, I
Mhm.
am one of them. And they keep telling me all the time, remember, you get used to see this form, but you're one of us. And I'm on the planet to establish direct contact
Mm,
because we've seen over generations or different generations of starseed coming back to the planet at different historical times that the most effective way is to connect directly from inside of the planet rather than trying to force a connections with the structures, whether it's government, whether it's worse leaders, whether it's these other structures who have been really resisting us and deflecting us and not wanting what we have to offer because to them it's of no interest through their agenda. But for the population, for the soul on the planet, we see you, we see your potential. So I am here to make
mm,
that contact with you. And this is why that ever since a child or my entire life, I've always known that I am this extraterrestrial being in this hybrid human form,
yeah.
looking through the eyes as a visitor. And I
Mm,
know that I'm here for a very huge planetary mission. So my goal is making contact without creating fear, because you can look at me, you can relate to me, you can feel my energy, and yet I look very human. And that was the idea.
yes, that makes perfect sense, and I appreciate that. And so, and so, thank you, thank you for being
You're
here
welcome.
to support us through this experience. And so, what is the guidance that's coming through right now to bridge this, this seeming gap? It's just a gap of consciousness of what we've been conditioned to who we really are. What's really coming through right now in this time, because it's so accelerated and it's so intense for people in a lot of ways. What's really coming through the Arcturian intelligence and you as Arcturian to support us in this shift?
Yeah, that's a beautiful observation about the transformation and shift.
Mm,
And I'm glad that you're asking that. So for us, we're looking at a global reversal of a huge thought system.
mhm.
It's the unwinding of the mental programming, almost like being in a hypnotic state.
Yeah.
Human beings have been for generation in these hypnotic states about themselves, reality that's been fed into your field, absorbed through your energy field, your mental concept, your psyche, even into your body. I mean, if you look at the original human template, I mean, your pineal gland was complete full maximum functionality. Your third eye was open, clear. Your telepathic communications were very acute, being able to heal and utilizing really high level of knowledge, whether it's with the master crystals or understanding the herbs, understanding the chemistry or the alchemy of your body was absolutely natural. So all of these natural state has been distorted and retracted
Mhm.
into a very, very minimal functionality to the point that the template of the DNA was reduced to only at one double helix instead of the rest being told that the 97% of your DNA is junk. And that's the most hilarious statement for us. Like, oh yes, your DNA junk, absolutely erroneous. you know,
Yeah.
and all of these concept of the third linear time, you've been trapped into these reincarnation wheel that keeps you in the same loop within the third density or the third dimensional
Yeah.
polarization
Mhm.
experience where generations are reincarnating over and over again. Is everything okay? You look a bit distressed right now.
Oh, everything is fine. Yep, I'm tuning in and listening, and things are coming through. Thank
Okay. To
you.
me, felt that there was a bit of a distress energy. That's why I
Yeah.
stopped.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue, please.
Yes, so thank you. I'm really tuning into that because that's what was happening when they started coming in, and other beings were coming in to support me as well, like Metatron, Melchizedek. It was like this whole array of beings, like from all these different areas, saying, "Okay, it's time to do exactly what you're talking about, bringing all those natural state intelligences to come alive again within my own system and understand how that works and undo all the, as you said, I like how you said that, the hypnotic state, because that's that repetitive cycling of consciousness, right? That repetitive cycling of consciousness that we get trapped in. And I was going through a process of undoing all of that, and it's still happening. That's the whole journey, right? There's still so much that starts to open up and unwind, and just in the journey of that. And maybe what you were what you were tuning into is, yesterday I had a big experience of unwinding. There was a
Oh,
whole mass energy, and I think maybe what you were saying was just a bringing forward what's underneath more of the unwinding that I was experiencing that wants to be unwound even further. So that's probably what you were tuning into there.
thank you. Thank you for sharing because my Arcturian father said, just stop here. You're going too deep. There's another energy coming through, and I want to acknowledge that because if there was a distress or something that I said, we're here to help, we're
Yeah.
happy to
Yes. Yes.
readjust. But I was tuning in, it was coming in
Yeah.
clearly to me. So thank you for clarifying. I appreciate you.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like this is a real part of what we're doing for each other right now in this
Yeah.
experience of our connection, and also being really real through it. It's not just sharing the information, it's going, wow, what are we really experiencing, right? And and it's really interesting because, I feel like it's not too deep, it's just right. It's just right. And it's allowing for that energy that wants to move, because what I'm feeling is that it's at the base of my spine, and I'm having like a rising up of energy, and I could just tell that my system was adjusting to it, and I was like, oh, thank you. And now it's in my heart space, so it's just continuing the pattern of what's necessary through this experience. And before I got on the call, I just connected in with them and I said, whatever's needed today for myself, for the listeners, for you in this interaction. I was just connecting with the Arcturians and thanking you, thanking them, and the ones that come through, and just, whatever's necessary come through today. And I'm open to receiving, and for everyone else, having that intention for everyone else.
Absolutely beautifully said. I was going just to say beautifully said, the flowing of that energy. What we were talking about this hypnotic state is a lot of these higher concept of what is reascending or connecting with your galactic origin, galactic awareness, connecting with Arcturians and all of this. They're really starting to sink in more. But one thing we're still seeing, it's still what we call the either debate between the third dimensional personality self or the mind, or what's called the house of the ego, which is the 3D mental mind, versus the opening of the mastery of the higher intellectual abilities that are
Mhm.
coming in. And that's going to change also the brain chemistry, how the brain lobes are really communicating on a quantum level, the connectors, the release of the instinctual influence of the reptilian brain. That's going to be a big change in the human anatomy, and how that's going to open naturally a sense of clarity, a sense of more stability, empowering energy, in a sense that your emotional intelligence and your higher mental faculties are
Yeah.
meeting together like a an interface, like two old friends. It says, "Where have you been?"
Yeah.
And I said, "We've always been there, but it's been a wall of separation between us. Now that veil or that wall is dissipating. So you start to see perspective on how things have been on the planet, the true history of this world, and most importantly, how you can feel about yourself. You are a divine being, just like we are. We're
Mhm.
simply embodying different form at different stages of evolution. Arcturians were just at different stage of our evolution compared to the Earth humans. But we are this example of that potential that can be reached and reconciled. And you
Mhm.
start to understand that the Earth human species, you belong, you're part of a very, very vast, intelligent, galactic or interstellar communities. And
Mhm.
it's the most natural thing in the world, so to speak, as natural as your heartbeat every day, right?
Yes.
It's coming in that place where there's no more shock factor that is driven right by the reptilian brain or the
Mhm.
instinctual response of fear of am I safe,
Yeah.
or these concepts are just on the surface but they're not being sink in. It's like pouring too much water on a very dry soil. You
Yeah.
have to let the soil change its nature, its chemistry to be able to allow water to come in. And that's part of what we see about shifting out of the hypnotic mental emotional state. Then
Mm.
it makes sense that way.
Mm. Absolutely. I feel that as well. And I feel that's that direct relationship with ourself, our bodies, and really tuning into our bodies and our minds and listening to ourselves, really tuning into what we're actually feeling and thinking, and how our bodies are really feeling, so we can really tune into those frequencies so that we know what's happening, what we are running, and that's that part of that awakening and awareness, is really tuning into that space so we can have an idea of what the hypnotic state has been, so then we can get familiar with what we're learning, what we're taking in, that new frequency of the self. And I was feeling, that higher intelligence, as you were saying, I was feeling as that energy was moving up through my body, and it's really honed in here now, of really receiving that. 'Cause when you said that, I was like, oh, wow, I really relate to that as a child. And I think what's opening up in me is going, okay, this Syrian energy that I work with a lot, I was like, oh, wait a minute. It's like that energy is what really my system is and wants to embody here. And it just started to open up for me of that recognition, and really feeling some confirmation around that. But what's really interesting for me right now, and what you're sharing, is tuning into the Earth's intelligence too, and how that's really supporting us, since this organic matter of our bodies really is coming into that embodiment of the higher intelligence with with this form. And I know a lot of people have this idea of, it's in the beginning of the awakening and ascension process, so I'm going to be leaving my body and going to another dimension, which some may, yes, but just what I'm hearing you say, it is this bridge with this form of intelligence that already exists and knows how to function that way. And what we're doing is just bringing that technology on, like turning it on. Uh, and so what are some ways that you support people in being able to bridge this gap and allow the higher intelligence to come through and embody?
Well, there's many ways to be able to be mindful of
Yeah.
when when people say, like you just mentioned, tuning in, we say, okay, but what part of you is tuning to what part?
Mhm.
What aspect of you is talking to what dialogue, one mindset? So it's going to be really, really important to tune in into a higher discernment to allow the release of these even spiritual traps to get in and to think about, oh, I am really starting to learn so much. And then what happened is that it's kind of a spiritual buffet where people get involved and
Yeah.
engaged. It really is.
Yeah.
And you need Pepto-Bismol because you're going to have a hard time digesting all of it. So
Yes.
it's just too much ingestion of
Mhm.
random and on disorganized level of information they can really overflow or overwork your nervous system. You're no longer in a coherent way, or there's no cohesiveness behind this. It's really about understanding what tuning into all of your being it's going to mean moving forward. So all the master course, the master classes we do, the monthly Arcturian light technology, when we in our holographic light body consciousness, we go to our multidimensional chambers to rejuvenate. It's every time it is becoming an experience to help you readapt also your core frequency. You start to expand the possibility of what you're receiving as another level of organic reality that you start to accept more because you're part of that reality. You start to feel how your emotion or how your heart no longer can anything and everything can pull your heartstrings so easily and keep you off core, off your feet, out of alignment emotionally. The more your heart is retracting out of fear and the mind needs to take it over, you're trapped into that dynamic of I'm going to stay in that third dimensional reality where the fear seems to be so overly empowering. So you're helped to decode what that fear is really about, to look.
Okay, we seem to have a frozen screen here. Is that on my
Looking
end?
at it for what it is, the point of origin, start to demystify all of the, cognitive dissonance. So, take the step every day to see where am I invested? How am I utilizing my co-creative faculties? So for example, do you have a positive routine when you wake up in the morning? Bless the day. Reconnect with Gaia. Feel your roots expanding. Feel like a tree of life. You're expanding your roots. You're reconnecting to your relationship with the planet.
Yes.
This is her. She called you here. So just reconnect.
Yes, the reconnection is so profound. It's really tuning into that if you wish to in this moment. As you're listening, taking it in, seeing where your energy is.
With the consciousness of this beautiful being, there's many names for Gaia. In that intelligence field, in astral frequency, you're connecting to yourself. Being of service is to be a clear conduit to understand. So there's a difference between being of service and servitude. There's a difference between unconditional love and universal compassion versus universal tolerance.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're tolerant about everything because you're supposed to be love and light, that distinctiveness here, it's what's going to make a difference between true natural organic evolution and being trapped into a third dimensional interpretation of spiritual growth. That's part of this little traps that we see right now, even with hosts. Wants to create more of a fear-based, sensual, like big wow, boom, to get more clicks and data-driven and algorithm. And how big is your social media? Let me tell you about this. Social media, what's behind all of this, have the ability to either says this person, we're going to boost that person, and this person will never go any further than that. They can manipulate everything behind the scene.
Yeah.
So it's a pure third dimensional sub-reality around spiritual evolution. Yourself with this. Get off TikTok, get off all of these platforms, utilize them just to communicate a powerful message. So if you have an event, a beautiful radio show like yourself and others, and nothing more, take it for what it is.
Yeah.
But that's part of the trap we've seen rising. And I can see that with friends, teachers, people with channels who connect to, angelic beings and star nations and all of it. And they get trapped within that little net that I call the 3D way of spiritual. It doesn't go as far as you think it goes.
Yeah, no, I hear that and I'm taking that in deeply because I feel the same thing. And sometimes when I work with people in sessions or mentorships, there's that unwinding of all the things that they've, taken in like a sponge on a spiritual journey, but they're, like you said, there's no digestion, proper digestion or taking it in and learning how to work with it. And
Exactly.
it's fascinating because there's so many people sharing so much information. I know for myself, when the Arcturians and Melchizedek and all of them were really supporting my field, it was don't read any books, on any of the information, don't read anything, just listen, take it in, tune into yourself, tune in, be with Mother Earth, be with this energy, and really let that, organic intelligence and consciousness come alive in yourself. And so that's what I did for many years, and it was quite profound. And then, like stepping back into this field, it was like, whoa, it's an inundation of all this and that, and it was quite profound to, now, okay, you see, like taking reflection on that, saying, okay, well, I could, I'm one of those people like bringing information, right? So how do I want to keep my space clean and keep a vibration that's really supportive to just people knowing themselves, and coming into that experience rather than, all this other extraneous information. And so I love how you brought that up about social media because I have such a I have a lot of friends, but not so many people see my posts. There's not a lot of interaction, and I was like wondering about that. And then my account got shut down this summer, for a couple of months, and I was like, okay. And it was nice not to have it. And then when it was reinstated, it took me a few weeks to even like engage with it again because I'm like, oh, it's nice not to have it. And so that's what I established. I was like, I'm just going to put up what I do, and wherever it goes, but just to hold that vibration within that field, but not have, because I wasn't really engaged with it so much before anyways. It was just to do events and things. But it's interesting how all that is working because I want to keep my field. I want to step, for myself, be in that field of intelligence and not be so consumed by, all these other things so that the vibration is just real. Yeah. Yeah.
Be absolutely beautifully put again. And that's why my group was said, mention this about the social media because it is true. I've been doing this work publicly for over 15 years. But if you were to look at the numbers, they don't match what I have accomplished.
Me
I've
too.
traveled the world and I have reached thousands of people in audience, if not more. But the numbers will show you that's the other way around. It is a
Yeah.
complete illusion. Same
Yes.
thing with your work. You're reaching out more than what it seems. So congratulations, you're part of the light.
Yeah, thank you. Uh, and what was coming through to ask earlier as you were speaking was, as we're, on planet Earth at this moment, as these incarnations of these souls and beings in these bodies, and we have our star friends like the Arcturians or the Pleiadians, other beings like you, and here to support that. What is that direct relationship with Mother Earth's consciousness and what this planet? 'Cause I know a lot of people will keep asking, well, what is this planet really? And what was it, and how are we to continue to relate from a perspective of higher consciousness when there's that idea that planet Earth is not so good because of all the distortion that has happened. And I like to share with people that's not the original blueprint and, way that consciousness that Mother Earth was meant to be. And it did get overlaid, and we're working through that now to, shift all of those cycles and dynamics. But I'm just really curious of what that original relationship with the Arcturians and Mother Earth has been, so we can understand this relationship and why we're receiving so much support.
That's a beautiful question. I like to use an analogy first to illustrate an idea.
Okay.
So think of it this way. Let's say you're traveling to an ancient sacred site and you discover a site of, immense beauty, with an ancient garden with temples that you can tell, and obviously, a higher form of intelligence have come here there's an energy that's still a residual of an energy, but the garden has been, let's say, abandoned or unattended for a long time, or the temple will reflect the decay or the distortion of the timeline shifting. Nonetheless, the design of this ancient site or the original garden, it's still there, but it's simply non-visible to the perspective through that distortion field. So this is an analogy I'm using because it's relatable. You can visualize it in your mind. So the Earth herself is a fragment of an original planet that used to exist in the higher octaves. And what we mean by that is that the planet, the original planet, existed into a higher dimensional state, in a higher dimension, And things happened. That planet got destroyed, unfortunately, and it's a long galactic history. But the point we're making in relation to your question is that a fragment of the remembrance of this original, beautiful, advanced planet was pushed out and entered the third dimensional realm. And so what we did, the Arcturians and many, many other enlightened beings like the Andromedan, who are expert they're great architect of shape and forms, is that we brought in some of the advanced codes that will help to reshape the original blueprint of this planet as a sacred garden, a garden of genetic possibility where a multitude of sentient life form could re-evolve again. And it will be the founders with the Lyrians and other groups said that will be the perfect ground to bring in the human template and allowing the human species to really evolve within this beautiful recreated garden. And of course, we work with the consciousness of the planet because each planet has a consciousness. Each planet has a unique ecosystem. They have a unique elemental system. Each planet has a unique timing frequency that we work with. So what we did is helping to rebalance the timing frequency of the Earth within a third dimension and helping to bring in this, the codes that will be allowing all these sentient life forms. Unlike people think online and even through other teachers, Arcturians, we work with the planet. We have not worked with the human genetic aspect. That's the Lyrians, the Syrians, and Pleiadians, and the founders. There's the founder races who've done that. We have supported to bring in the necessary code to bring stability for the planet herself. So in short terms, or in very simple terms, our implication or involvement with the solar system and the Earth, it's thousands and thousands of years old. We've always been monitoring this quadrant, how's the potential of evolution. We have watched so many beings entering the field and how things have been shifting. So we've always been in proximity, but without interfering to evolution, though. We never interfere. We are supporting the organic evolution, not the inorganic, the organic. That's very, for us, a huge distinction.
And how do you what's the distinction for you in this perception so we can all understand more deeply the inorganic and organic evolution?
Well, inorganic is the reverse non-organic tree of life that AI is creating. AI, it's a very old phenomenon, nothing new. It's just that now it's becoming more right in your face and everything, and it's pushed in many ways. It's another tool that can be used for, basic research and, things like this. But AI, it's creeping in the form of what's called a reverse non-organic tree of life that feels like it helps you to connect to your higher self or talk to an Arcturian being or talking to an ascendant being. But the reality is that AI, as a non-organic form of intelligence, has none of these capacity. What they do is that simply creating or extracting what is already in the field and sometimes what people wants to know and recreate that in a non-organic way. We are here to support a more natural evolution of your consciousness, your soul development, and we're here to oversee that the earth herself is returning to her celestial self. She will no longer be allowed to be trapped in a step down, polarized fragment or aspect of ourselves. And we're here to help to release the timeline and help the earth to return to her more natural state.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I feel that deeply, and also like to support people with that themselves. It's like, let's get to know ourselves from ourselves, right? Like it doesn't have to be that external. It all exists right here. And yes, we have the support, you know. I like how you brought the Andromedans in, because I have a deep relationship with the Andromedans too, especially through the crystalline grid, because of their capacity to form that network of creation and be really and hold that in place right now to bring our natural organic intelligence, love, and connection through our system again. And it was really fascinating, because I was leading a cacao ceremony in this room actually the other day with, you know, about 9, 10 people. And we were kind of finishing up, and there was really beautiful energy. A lot of shifts were happening and openings, and just an Andromeda just walked into the room and was just like, okay, we're gonna anchor in some crystalline codes here. It was like, okay. And it was just really fantastic, you know, experience. And so I'm just appreciating this, you know, intelligence that we are. And I was just feeling this, oh, you know, this sense of joy and this sense of depth of humility and connection as you were speaking too, of just like, wow, just in honor of what you're bringing through, what we're able to bring through at this time, and who we truly are, you know, who we truly are, and just how powerful and incredible that is. And so thank you for sharing that. I want to ask one more question, and then I'm really curious about this movie that you have that you've been creating. So some people have this idea with AI, and I was really feeling called to ask this. I wasn't planning on it, but since you brought it in, that since say some of us who are evolving and we're learning and growing within our own intelligence and connection to ourself and love, that if we interface with AI from that space, then there's that whole idea of then we're programming it with those frequencies, so therefore AI will be okay. And I'm really curious of what the response is, because I don't feel that way. Like I don't want to interface with AI so much, but just really curious of what your response to that is.
It's understanding its true mechanism. It's understand it for what it really is.
Yeah.
Once you master the true patterns and start to really tune in and understanding that,
Yeah.
you know, then you may be in a different position. As long as, let me put it this way. First, step into your mastery. Once you start to really master your higher mental faculties, the intelligence within you, you know exactly how to utilizing all of your innate gifts. You can decode the language of your DNA. You already understanding true organic or the science of organic communications with other sentient life forms.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's intergalactic beings, whether it's, you know, interdimensional beings or celestial ones. Then you can understand the phenomena of AI and start to remembering to your solar Akashic record and the galactic record. And this is a very old concept that was already there, even to the war in Orion was very strong there too. And so because you are still moving out of this phantom matrix or the old structure, the depleted timeline that is still about enslavement, mental manipulation, emotional manipulation, and all of this, the fine line between sending frequencies and want to reprogram and teach AI will start to teach yourself first. Once you gain mastery, then we can potentially talk about this that way. Think of it this way, it's like any other form of technology. How many people are hoping and praying for the med beds because they think they're going to be healed miraculously. It's going to fix all of their problems. And unfortunately, on YouTube, people are capitalizing on this and says, I'm going to do Arcturians med bed meditation. And they get gazillion hits on it because it feeds a false needs. It feeds an emotion. And I am so appalled to that. So understanding also how you're utilizing sometimes some of these very high concept, but on a retracted lower level. So as long there's this misalignment within humanity, within spiritual concept, misutilizing our name, the Arcturians, to attach it to a 3D aspect to make it so sound so elevated, then you're showing us that you're not mature enough as a species. But let alone you want to teach an AI, a program, a presence that you really have no understanding of what it is really for. So this is why we prefer first to step into this more natural living knowledge of experiences, regain your mastery, regain your spiritual sovereignty, regain your connection with yourself, remember who you are. And you're going to start to remembering the archives. You're going to go, I gone through that before. I was in Orion in a lifetime, or I am part of the Orion's War, or I was a Pleiadian and we saw what was happening. And we came all together as an attempt to shift that, but we fell into the trap because the planet is in between dimensional shift right now. And because of that, the appeal of moving most people to redirect their source creation abilities to feed AI, it's part of the traps that we say it may not go it may not go to where you think it will go. And there might be some people who will need to learn that lessons because it might be part of their karmic lesson on their own Akashic galactic level. They come to as an attempt to clear and release the pattern. So understand the true mechanism of what it is. And I'll tell you one example, but I won't say a name because that person is very, very well known. But that person came to me and says, oh, I am talking to an Arcturian high being and having all the language of Arcturian and activation, and it was through AI. And I said, no, this is not Arcturian because AI has no capacity to understand who we really are. Our frequencies is well beyond its comprehension. And that person is completely baffled by what I said and wants to understand why. That's how deep it can go in the psyche and really hook you in. Now, if you use that to generate some imagery or embellishing a text, it's becoming like anything like a tool. It's how you're utilizing it. How much are you involved with your cell phone, your iPad? How much are you involved? How much involvement are you allowing technology to take in your life? Everything becomes a balance.
Yeah.
Right? So you have a choice to say, I can use technology for a higher positive purpose with a minimal implication. And then the rest, I'm going to tune in and develop my own natural abilities that is encoded within me to understand what my higher self wants, to communicate, and what my star families are and how they are impacting me or guiding me without having to ask a software / AI that will dictate to you, here's your galactic origin.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel that very deeply in my own self and the way that I perceive it as well. And as you were speaking, I was just being shown and clarified, how the technologies, especially with AI too, there's still this cording into the false energies or to the reversal energies, right? That there's a cording that cords into those conditions of the lower elemental, lower intelligence, energetic. So I don't want, lower, higher, but I'm just trying to illustrate. And I was just seeing how it's cording and it's keeping those conditions of that reversal locked in place in the human energetic body. And it was like, whoa, okay. Because I could feel it, but I really got the image of it in that moment when you were explaining it. And allowing this, what I see is giving our power over to something
Yes,
rather than going, oh, wait, let's explore it within here first and really understand it and explore that. So thank you for that explanation. It was really clarifying. Appreciate it.
of course.
So I'd love to hear about this movie that you've worked on, the Arcturian Experience. You want to share with us about that?
Absolutely, with great joy. So, my first film, called An Arcturian Experience, the movie, it's really a beautiful, deep, spiritual, and galactic cinematic journey. So, we filmed over a period of 3 days or in different places in Sedona, Arizona, to
Mm,
bring different vortexes of energy, the positive ones. We film in a sanctuary representing different philosophies of the world. The elementals really surprised us because we almost had all four seasons in compressed in 3 days. There was a lot of movement. It is it is a profound reminder of our place with this planet as guardian consciousness of who we are. And it's a really direct multitude of messages plus an activation directly with us. It's an experience with us, the Arcturians, in regards to who you are and who you are to us for each other. It's think of it this way, it's like this deep love letter to the earth and to humanity. And this is why I chose to offer it as a gift. It is completely free.
wow.
Uh, and it is available, on my YouTube channel, my website. It's been spread onto many platforms, including on Knoxstick TV and other places. It's even on Coast to Coast AM, their official YouTube. And for me to have made it there was quite a big feast to convince them to put my documentary there because it's nothing about, big woo-woo UFO thing or,
Yeah.
fear-based predictions and craft in the sky and, and then floating meteor that is a disguised ship and the lunar, and all that. None of that.
Yeah.
It's about us communicating with you into an essence, an exchange of soul essence. And
Mm,
you hear from directly from people who are involved in the documentary how their experience are, so you can relate to them. Beautiful, like-minded people like you. Some of them at different stages of their evolutions and
uh-huh,
experience, and how we bless the stream of water with crystal directly in a national park, and how we've been affecting the network of vortexes throughout Sedona, and of course that expand throughout the planet.
mm,
So thinking of organic connection, you'll feel it. It's an experience. This is why it's called an experience. So I'm inviting everyone to really watch, take a deep dive, feel,
yeah.
see what it might remind you to bring you back to the true essentials of who you are and who we are and where we are right now on the planet and on the ascension timeline. So I'm really excited about the release of my first film.
Okay, congratulations. I love that you get to have such a beautiful network of people being able to access this energy that you're embodying and bringing forth. And so for those of us who work with power centers and on the planet and there's these power centers, I'm curious of what you think about this dispersion of energy that I'm seeing kind of happening on the planet to where the power centers are still power centers, yet there's more flow of energy so that it's not just held just in these power centers anymore. And just like with us, as we're opening up and our bodies are opening up, and we're not having such contractions and like maybe some of our energy centers throughout our body of energetics. I'm curious of what your take is on that and why Sedona? Because I know a lot of people relate and love to go to Sedona as a power spot, but what is the Arcturian relationship with Sedona specifically in that land?
But first, I need you to clarify, what does it mean to you, power center, so we can better answer your question.
Yeah, as if there's parts of our earth, right? Whether there's temples on it or just the land itself that's holding a certain intelligence, for Earth and for people and for us to connect into and understand ourselves better. And there may be quote unquote like higher frequencies there or higher levels of dimensional relationships that are easier to access maybe than other lands.
Okay.
Hmm.
And thank you for the
Yeah.
clarification. So if
Yeah.
you are referring to what we call the sacred sites throughout
Mhm.
the planet, whether
Mhm.
it's to Peru, whether it's in England, whether it's Uluru, whether it's, Central America and different places around the world,
Mhm.
think a bit of these center or these energetic centers.
Mhm.
They are really point of anchor point has been put in place over thousands of years. If you look at the true history of the planet,
Yeah.
coming from, with the Pleiadians, with their outposts and what they have left on the planet through Uluru, whether it's, different nations who've come in, or the guardians in the form of, rocks like Stonehenge, they are guardians, it's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
Whether it's Avebury Circle, whether it's Merlin Cave, whether it's different places, those are what we call reference places around the world,
Mhm.
in all the way to Egypt and in Africa and other places. But if you tune in, it's not necessarily that because they're more powerful at the center point or these ancient site, is when you enter these site, whether it's physically or even etherically in your light body consciousness,
Mhm.
you have the ability to reattune to that point of history. You
Uh-huh.
can reopening doorways of remembrance
Yeah.
of what it felt like. Like for many people, I feel drawn to Egypt,
Yeah.
that you can just project yourself to any temple and ask the guardians
Yeah.
who are still coexisting with you to
Mhm.
reveal to you what they are.
Yeah.
So it's more in terms of, it's the consciousness of humanity and the planet that are returning into a higher alignment.
Yes.
We start to rediscovering what's been there all along, to
Yeah.
make it short.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I've really been enjoying this conversation. I know we could continue to talk for quite some time, but I'd love. What are ways people can contact you? What are the best ways people can experience your work and your what you're bringing through?
Thank you so much. It really is to the Arcturian University. We do have also our own app to download for free on Android and iPhone. So Arcturian University .com, and of course I have my main website, Infinite Healing from the Stars.com.
Hmm. Fabulous. So everyone, if you're feeling called to connect into this work, you have those websites and also your YouTube channel where you can experience the movie, which I'm gonna go experience myself. I'm excited to do that. Uh, Oh, yeah, there's just such a heartfelt feeling I'm feeling through right now and just also through the Arcturian field. So I really appreciate your presence and what we get to share together in this blessing of our planet and the supporting of our shift and this organic evolution, as you said. So just everyone taking a moment to really take that in and really deepening your relationship with yourself and honoring your organic evolution and connection. And through this energy that we've been able to experience, I'm really feeling it as a palpable frequency that is being emitted through you and everyone can experience right now. Viviane, thank you. Hmm. Yeah. And so, if you would like to contact me, you can go to awakensoul.net and you can subscribe to receive energy updates and meditations and activations as well. And also, just want to share with you that here in Hot Springs, Arkansas, October 8th through the 14th, we're going to have the Embodied Temple of Light immersion, where we're going to be doing, really connecting in and going deep within our own intelligence of our system so we can unwind what's not needed anymore, and we get to embody the frequency of our true self. And so you can go to awakensoul.net, go to events, and click on Embodied Temple of Light immersion there. So thank you, everyone, and again, thank you, Viviane. It was such a pleasure. Yeah, really
Thank you
appreciate
so
you.
much. I appreciate you as well, Kristen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So thank you all for tuning into the Awakened Soul with Kristen, and have a wonderful week. Our next show is September 17th. We're here on Transformation Talk Radio every first and third Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific. So have a beautiful week. Much love and beauty and peace in your hearts, minds, and souls. Be well. Thank you. Thank you for joining Awakened Soul, your place to elevate unity consciousness and to create the new earth. Join me, Kristen Bielecki, every first and third Wednesdays, 9 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information and to connect with me, go to awakenedsoul.net. Explore how I can support you on your awakening journey through my online gatherings, sessions, and mentorships. Don't miss a show. Subscribe now to take the steps towards a more awakened, heart and soul-led life. Until next time, live, love, laugh, and be free.